What's up? Recap Kickback Bel-Air Season 3, Episode 3 and 4 are over, but we're just getting started here talking about this on Recap Kickback presents Bel-Air and Post Show Recap. See how I tied that together? If you're listening to this on the Bel-Air and Post Show Recap feed, what are you doing? You need to switch over to the Recap Kickback feed because that is where we're going to be talking about Bel-Air moving forward. So if you found our content last week, great. But make sure you come over to recapkickback.com, subscribe so that you can get the Bel-Air updates because we got a lot to talk about. We're 4 episodes in, and I cannot talk about this season without my co-host. I was going to call him the Carlton, but I'll give him a pass this week. It's my bruv, Pooya. Pooya, what's good?
Hey, I really thought with my lower car on being the passenger in a street race that you were going to call me the Carlton, but I was like, listen, that just means I don't like driving. Okay, I like being in the passenger seat. It's a vibe. I was getting mad anxiety just seeing that speedometer go up, but I'm happy to be here. This has been, again, another 2 fun episodes of season 3. I'm loving the build up here. I like where we're headed. I could be nervous, so we'll get to it.
Yes. So thank you all for, of course, listening to Recap Kickback, for listening to Bel-Air Post Show Recap on the Recap feed over there. And thank you for subscribing, giving us likes and comments on our YouTube page because we really enjoy getting the feedback. But we are here to talk about these 2 episodes. The first one is called True Colors, and the second one, Out All Night, episodes 3 and 4 of season 3. We took a week. We took a week to get to episode 3 because they've been dropping them. Peacock dropped 3 episodes at a time. And in that week's time, I really got anxious about what was coming on this season. Pooya, so far, 4 episodes in, what do you think about this season?
For me, I don't know about other people's judgments on it, but I've been loving everything we've been getting from Bel-Air so far. Season 3 has been a good combination of there's been some lighthearted moments, and because of how serious the subject matter is and how serious everyone's storyline is, I'm actually very pleased with how they've been able to find a balance. It doesn't feel too dark. It doesn't feel too dramatic. There's a healthy combination of, all right, there are stakes, but also we're just going to yell at each other outside after a street race and it's all going to be good. You know, it's a good, I like the mix right now that we're getting.
Bel-Air has done something very interesting every season. I think it really teeters on how dramatic are we going to make this show. You know, remember out the gate, season 1, Will is about to get murdered. You know, there's a gunman on the loose, you know. By season 2, Carlton's in a full-blown coke addiction, you know. And so now that we've made it to season 3, this does feel like the drama's a little bit lighter. I think that maybe because we're only 4 episodes in, it still has the potential to ramp up. But right now, I think that this was the perfect time to combine these 2 episodes into one conversation because it got a little tense, but not too crazy. So I feel like this is the time to do that because after this, we're going to go down to 1 episode a week. And we're really going to dive into some of the drama that's coming this season, Pooya.
Yeah, I feel like the drama, like, I'm not exactly sure because I haven't looked ahead to see how many episodes we're going to get this season. I have to imagine somewhere in the 8 to 12 range max.
I believe it's 10.
If it's 10, we're reaching the midway point soon. We're, you know, by next week, we'll be on episode 5 and we're in the halfway point. There's been a lot of buildup so far. I don't know which direction we're going, but we need all of these questions to go into the second half. And I think they're giving us some good questions to ask moving forward.
Yes, and the first person I want to talk about and ask some questions about is Hilary, because I think Hilary's drama right now, to me, is the most interesting of them all.
Interesting.
We saw that she has kissed Jazz in the last episode, and we also find out that Ashley knows about it. And Ashley is still the moral compass of this entire show because she tells Hilary, well, I mean, obviously you're not trying to get married or anything like that. And you have to tell LaMarcus what's going on, or I'm going to give you these sad puppy dog eyes that Ashley can only give you, the guiltiest eyes of all time. Ashley gives this look to everybody in the show at one point or another. And right now her eyes are locked on Hilary doing the right thing. But I don't know. I don't know if Hilary's ever going to have a chance to do the right thing based on what happens to LaMarcus in this episode.
Yeah, I feel like Ashley, whatever she's giving them is enough for them to be willing to contemplate risking all of their branding that they've spent, you know, years building up at this point. First, it happened with Carlton's clean boy image that got ruined, and now it's like, dump this football player, but because you cheated, let's see how that goes for your image, for your branding, for your influencer lifestyle. But listen, she definitely contemplates it. She gets as close as you can to telling him, but one little scrimmage and it all goes sideways. And honestly, I don't blame her for not saying anything now.
Yeah, Ivy told her, don't do this. Don't do this. She says, this is bad. You don't want to do this. And then she even tries to rope her in right before the scrimmage. She says, are you sure you want to break his heart right before this big moment of his? But Hilary, her heart was set on it. She saw, like, I'm telling you, that look Ashley gave her, it pierced her. And so she's like, I have to do the right thing. I have to tell LaMarcus what happened. And then he can decide what we do with the relationship. She goes to tell him, and we get that classic TV trope of, honey, I got something I need to say to you. And he's like, okay, 1 second. And then before she can get to tell him, he gets dragged away to the scrimmage. And we have to see if she's ever going to reveal that information to him. Sadly, LaMarcus is injured on the field. He actually dies on the football field, is rushed to the hospital. He's in ICU all night. They eventually let him out. And it does not look like he is recovering anytime soon, but it also looks like this is an even worse moment for Hilary to reveal her big secret.
Yeah, because for him, he's surrounded by people who are just going to be amping him up to get back on that football field. His dad being the main, being like, you're just a little scratch. You'll be fine. You'll get up. You'll be there for the season. Whereas it's very clear to Hilary that, like, yeah, this road to recovery is going to be a long one, and you can't be having FOMO about where your career is going to go. Well, she walks in on LaMarcus Googling his name and seeing all the articles about how he's fallen off now and who's going to be the next LaMarcus on the field. So for me, I feel like even if Hilary wanted to say something now, she's kind of put it on hold because she knows what people around him, his agent, his dad want him to do. And she's just not going to sit idly by and let them force him back on the pitch when his heart literally stopped beating on that field. Like, there's no way you should be jumping back into this immediately. Even though I feel like this would kind of be the perfect exit plan. It's like, nope, you got to pick me or football. You pick football? All right, well, you know what? It was a good run while we had it. Bye. I got to leave.
I really thought that's what she was going to pull because you could see the room start spinning in her mind when she saw that his dad is basically like, get up. You need to play football now. I can't wait. My boy is going to be back on the field no time. She's like, you just died. You just died a second ago. What are you talking about? Like, I'm surrounded by crazy people. I need out. But she can't trust that everybody else won't push him to making a big mistake by putting himself back on the field before it's time. LaMarcus is even trying to get back on the field. I mean, he's trying to force himself to walk. And it could have been at least like less than a day or so that he's been in the hospital. And he's already trying to will himself back to the field because football is all he knows. There's a very common story in people's lives where, especially like athletes, they spend their whole entire life aiming for one goal, which is I need to be a pro sport, player, whatever the sport is, football, basketball, whatever. And that's their identity. I don't even know if he knows what he would do if he wasn't playing football. And so I'm not shocked that he feels this way, but there is no reason why this man should be getting on the football field as quickly as he wants to be.
Yeah, listen, as a clear athlete before you, who has all the knowledge, a lot of these athletes or these players go in, become, training their whole life to be athletes. Then once they're athletes, that's when the sponsorships, the endorsements come in, the publicists, the press, and then through that they can find some investments with the money they make for like later on in their career, or quite a few of them end up in the space anyway, being analysts or pundits for different shows on television. So it's kind of like this is the entryway to the rest of their life. But if it gets cut short early like this, you don't quite know where you're gonna go. Like, you don't have that landing spot sorted really, which is why I think this is a good storyline to have here, because then you're looking at Will, who's even earlier into that athlete pipeline, who has realized, hold up, let me get some other things going on in my life as well. Because I think diversifying the old portfolio, especially for athletes, is a great way to go, because an athlete's shelf life is somewhere, somewhere close to 40, depending on the sport you're in. The oldest soccer player ends up being about 42. LeBron has been doing his thing on the basketball court for 20 years now. But his time's coming up at some point as well. Like he's hitting that 40 range. So, but then you still have a lot of life to live from 40 plus. Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, and can you live your life if you don't mess it up by playing a sport that is very intense on your body? We see that LaMarcus will find out he has a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is not great for an athlete because it can cause heart failure, which we saw in this very episode. So not only is he having to recover, but now he knows about this myopathy that he has, and this could happen again. There's nothing to say that he doesn't go out there and the same exact thing happen, but he's willing to put his life on the line for it. And it's also kind of messed up that Hilary's like, cheating on him a little bit, kissing other dudes because if the myopathy don't break his heart, that might, So
Wow, what are you, a poet now? Okay, all right, big
look,
softy.
people die from broken hearts all the time. I just don't want Hilary to be the reason why it happened. We speculated that LaMarcus might be the Trevor. I think we might have been right. I think this was his Trevor moment.
This was his Trevor moment. I had a moment when she was in the hospital. I was like, oh my God, is he going to die? Like, is this the Trevor moment? The next week after we talked about it, he's still alive. He's still around. That's fine. But this kind of felt like the Trevor moment a little bit, where the question now, we talked about questions being set up. The question is Hilary going to break it off with him? At what point does Hilary break it off with him? And does she break it off with him by revealing the truth or some other factor when it comes to sports that's going to lead us there?
Right. Is she ever going to tell LaMarcus about this kiss? I mean, she could, but you're right. She doesn't actually have to. She does have an out. And we see in these 2 episodes that sometimes if you don't tell the truth, somebody else will be willing to do that for you. And that takes us to the conversation between Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, because that's another kiss that has happened behind people's backs. And the truth is finally out. Erica folded. She told Aunt Viv everything.
Yeah, it's because this was such a funny way to go about things. She was like, Jeffrey, am I tripping or is something going on with Erica? Because she's been avoiding me. And before Jeffrey could say anything, Uncle Phil comes in, subject changes. Later, Jeffrey goes to Phil and says, yeah, you probably need to like tidy up and stop like having business with Erica and find your own clients. And then Phil, stupidly, might I add, immediately does this and then goes to Viv. They've not talked about this. Goes to Viv and goes, yeah, so I've been lining up some clients, other places. I'm looking to, remove myself from there. And I thought, it would be good for you. That's what you're looking for. It'd be good for you. I think until this point, Viv was just kind of like, it's in my head. The minute he did this is basically him telling her without telling her. It's an admission of guilt. So she was like, no, something's up. I'm going to go talk to Erica.
Yeah, that last work function that they were at, he highlighted Erica as like, I couldn't be here without Erica. Like, look at our biggest client. Like this, if it wasn't for Erica, who knows what this business would be. And now a day-ish later, he's like, so Viv, I was thinking about moving away from the Erica thing. Like, I think it's for you. Happy wife, happy life, all those things. And Aunt Viv, she's been giving him a suspicious look for a while, but you're right. I think the light bulb goes off on that moment. She's like, I just need to talk to Erica because this man is clearly lying to me. And I bet I could get the information from her. And so she goes to Erica point blank and just says, you need to tell me what's going on, because you came here talking about you wanted to be friends and you didn't have nobody else around and blah, blah, blah. But now when I talk to you, you run the other direction. What's going on? And the next time we see Aunt Viv, she's like sipping on her bourbon, waiting on Uncle Phil to come through the door. Like, yeah, we need to talk. And so the talking escalates very quickly into a big argument, a big fight. And Carlton overhears it, but it does seem like now, things are on the rocks. I think we've been hinting that this day was going to come for about an episode, about a season and a half, but now we've made it.
Yeah, they are kind of in shambles now, because we find out later on that they've also not been physically intimate in a minute, and now this isn't going to help that any. Meanwhile, on the other end of the thing, like, Aunt Viv just started this whole new, like, she's like chairman of this foundation. She's doing a lot of work. A lot of things are happening. A lot of balls in the air, and Uncle Phil has done this, which is not good. I feel bad for Aunt Viv. I can't really feel bad for Uncle Phil here. I feel like Uncle Phil has, even though he immediately was like, we're not doing this. This kiss isn't a thing. We're not doing this. You should have just told her immediately. It would have it was so funny when he was like, the only reason I didn't tell you about that kiss is because I didn't want to add more stress to this marriage. And she was like,
So you think our marriage is stressful? That's
yeah.
stress for you? You dummy, you big stupid.
He's such an idiot. Like, he messed up big time.
He walked right into that. Like, I didn't want to add more stress to your life. Oh, so I'm stressful. Oh, so the whole family's stressful. So you want to be without the stress? I was like, here we go. So yeah, he messed up. I do feel bad for Aunt Viv, and Uncle Phil should be concerned. I told you last season he dodged a bullet with Michael Ealy, but this season, Sharif is he's lurking. He's sending flowers. He's liking Instagram posts. We got to get this chef out of here.
No, chef can stay.
This man is bad for business. He's bad for business, Pooya.
For whose business?
For mine. I don't want Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil to do this kind of stuff anymore, because Aunt Viv talks to her homegirl. Joan is back. Joan says, Vivian, hit the blunt. No, okay. Aunt Viv shuts it down. But she says, Viv, we're going out. We're going to a girls' night out. We're gonna party. Everything's gonna be good. They do. They go out to the nightclub with all the friends. They even invite the fun friend Stephanie, who's gonna make sure it's a turn up.
They're Chappell. They're Chappell. Let's be honest.
You know what's funny is that in some circles I am the Stephanie. I will give you that. But I also in a lot of circles I'm not. And so that's why I was in my notes like, dang, I can't stand when the Stephanie show up, because sometimes I'll be ready to go home and I was like, damn, but it's me. I'm the Stephanie.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Yeah, you're the Chappelle to some, and then you've got Chappelle's of your own as well. Yeah,
and you can just imagine who those people are, because if you know me pretty well at this point, those people are menaces and they should be put down.
In a lot of functions, the way we operate is you're the Chappelle, you're the Stephanie, but then at some point during the night, you're like, all right, listen, when you say the word, we're leaving. I'm ready to go. Make no mistake. I'm looking like I can go all night, and I will if you want to, but you say the word, I'm leaving with you. It's like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Someone grab me and remove me from this situation and I'm down. And, I'm not to the age of Aunt Viv and her friends yet, but they definitely needed somebody to grab and remove them because they were going hard. They had the Mary J. Blige playing, the room is spinning, they're all sitting down, their dogs are barking. They sitting down like, whoo, they're even going through Sharif's Instagram page. And I don't know if you peeped this, but Aunt Viv passes her phone over to one of her homegirls and she starts liking the post.
Stephanie was liking all the photos. Yep.
I said, the likes are going to come back to bite you. Uncle Phil's going to see those likes.
Yeah. Oh, especially when it came when they were earlier in the episode, someone else they were talking about how this person has liked all your photos and blowing up your phone. And I was like, oh, are you Sharif's stalker now? Is this how that's going to go? So I did peep that. This is not the end of Sharif for sure. We're still going to see him. We even had the offhanded comment from Uncle Phil when he saw the flower arrangement that Sharif had sent, and he looked at the card. He's like, oh, it only says thank you to you, not to me. And she's like, I'm sure we can get him to send you something if you want. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll see you later, Sharif. You're going to be back.
Yeah, Uncle Phil's like, his cooking ain't even that good, whatever.
Yeah, he's like, those tacos were not good. I was like, those tacos are not the ones you should be worried about.
Right, and those tacos were probably delicious, okay?
Yeah.
I was like,
don't be stupid.
He was hating, man. He had to. Yeah. I don't know if he's ever going to see the Instagram likes, but Sharif definitely will. And Sharif is going to take those likes as an invitation to slide in those DMs.
Yes, with both feet. He's gonna reciprocate and like some of her photos too.
Yeah, this is about to get bad. I really thought that at first when Aunt Viv was getting all those likes, and it's like she's like, somebody's blowing up my phone. I thought that was Sharif for a split second. But Hilary grabs the phone, blocks the account. Later on, we will see that account belongs to the person who does this big mystery mural on the side of the wall. And Viv is so taken with that mural that she goes to search it, only to find out that that's the account that she blocked. And so this person who runs this account, Aunt Viv wants to give them or offer them the Neiman Fellowship that she's now in charge of, but she don't know this person. She has never met this person. We don't even meet him in these 2 episodes, but Aunt Viv's very excited about what this could be in the future.
I wonder if this is a good cameo for us. I wonder if we're going to get a cameo. I don't know who this could be, but I have to imagine you've built them up for 2 episodes now. This is going to be a big name. Or we're going to be like, oh, snap, I didn't expect this person to be on the cast. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
Yeah. Okay. I would love a big cameo. I mean, at this point we've got a few like cameos from the original run of Fresh Prince. We even got like some rappers popping up. Obviously, we talking about Vic Mensa as Quentin. So I would love for them to keep doing more callbacks and references to the original Fresh Prince. Because I think in those first few seasons, those were one of the things that really kept me engaged. Because every now and then somebody would pop up that we already knew.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's kind of it's part of the recipe. It's part of the Bel-Air,
Yeah.
the Fresh Prince recipe. So I hope they continue on here, and I expect them to as well. I feel like I was going to say something about. Oh yeah, I don't love how Aunt Viv just gives her phone to anybody that asks for it, and
She's
like,
old.
yeah, she's like, "How do you work this?" I'm like, so, "I'm sorry, why do you have an Instagram then if you don't know how to work this? Like, you should know this by now." But you just basically let Hilary dictate. All right, this person's getting blocked, or here, Stephanie, look at this guy. And Stephanie, where's your phone etiquette? You know not to double tap when someone shows you a picture of somebody or something. It's not for you to
Yeah.
double tap.
It's
But
definitely not
also,
that
they're pretty
friend.
drunk. Probably they're pretty drunk. To be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, they're drunk, they in the club, they partying, and Stephanie is not that friend. She's not the one who's gonna have decorum in that moment.
No, I do love that they were like, "Where's this Erica live? Let's go beat her ass." And then they're like, "You know what? I can't even walk right now. I'll beat her ass next week."
Yeah, it was fun to think about, but in practice, no, stop it. I actually put in my notes, thank God, because I really
Oh,
thought like, and Viv, if you pull up over there,
you
what
are
are you really about
adults.
to have? Yeah,
Yeah,
grow up.
yeah.
Because
Seriously, yo, they were dancing on those men though. I will say
they
some
had a
of
good
that
time.
dancing. I was like, "Damn, this is Uncle Phil."
Yeah. I was
See,
I
it
was
is
waiting
it
on
is
the kiss
very
to happen or
telling,
something.
Chappell. It is very telling that
Mhm.
you have no problem with the dancing with these men, but sure, we have to get rid of the chef. For some reason, he has done nothing wrong, but he's the one that we got to get rid of.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little harmless dancing in the club. You know what I'm saying? Unbutton a few buttons on your shirt, a little grinding, all that kind of stuff. Get real sweaty, all that good stuff. As long as you don't do any more than that. You know, if they start DMing and Viv, I'm like, all right, shut it down. But this was just them having a good time. Also, Uncle Phil brought this up on himself. And he basically pushed her into the club, got her drunk, and then told her to go do whatever she
Yeah.
wants. Um,
Also, can we talk? So Aunt Viv comes home after a night out, and Uncle
mm,
Phil's sitting on the couch like, "Well, I couldn't sleep until I made sure you're okay." I was like, "Okay, that's nice, whatever." And then he's like, "But I did want to talk, and I feel like, judging by right now, you don't seem like you're in the place to talk." I was like, "You just called her drunk, man. That's not like, what are you doing? What are you? You're
yeah.
trying to play the sympathy card for Uncle Phil. Go to bed. She's home
He's
now."
like, well, I want to talk to you, but I guess you kind of mad at me and you don't want to, you've been having a good time out without me and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, yep, good night, bye. Um, hey man, and Viv know right now she got the leverage. I think that's what it is. She had a good time, and also she's just feeling really down on herself. It's like in a weird way, like Uncle Phil, of course, this is his fault, but Aunt Viv is starting to question her own sanity. You know, she was talking about last episode how her radar has been off when it comes to Carlton. You know, she just falls for his lies left and right. But now Uncle Phil too, you know, and quite frankly, Will has been lying to these people since the day he walked into the house too. Everything Will does is laced in a little bit of a lie, just because that's just how he operates. So she's like, I'm surrounded by people who are not telling me the truth, and she doesn't like that at all.
Hilary lied. Hilary's lying a little bit as well.
Oh, Hilary's definitely lying. There's actually a scene where Uncle Phil and Hilary get together and have a girl dinner together. And I thought this scene was so funny because both of them are sitting here
I've
kissing
done
on
the
other
same
people.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And neither one of them is coming out and saying it. I said, oh, I like this because we rarely see just Uncle Phil and Hilary in scenes so far together this season. But it was fun that they were both kind of going through the same exact thing and didn't even know it.
Yeah, no, the parallels here were very fun. Also, that girl dinner scene was great. I it was so funny that Uncle Phil was like, "All right, can we have man dinner now? Like this is
Yeah.
all nice, but can we go out?"
Look, some people will burst into tears over charcuterie, you know, and that seemed like they were what they were eating. So
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
she
surprised.
she looked at an empty fridge and came out with a whole charcuterie board. I don't understand why that wasn't sufficient, Uncle Phil. But also,
I, yeah.
y'all can get something delivered to the house, I guess.
Look, Pooya, we would have ate the charcuterie and then we would have got man food as well.
Yeah,
You know how we get down.
appetizer.
We
Yeah,
gonna go eat. Yeah, yeah. This ain't gonna work. These people have too much money. Okay.
yeah. That'll
For them
fuel the trip to the restaurant.
or the like in the meantime while we DoorDash something while it's on its way, we can eat the charcuterie.
Exactly.
Because I'm telling you, if I was this rich, I would never be hungry because there's something at your disposal. Somebody will bring you some food.
Oh, for sure.
So Hilary and Uncle Phil were interesting. Uncle Phil also, I mean, he does take Jeffrey's advice to go and diversify his clientele. And so he goes after a development company called Campbell Development, I think. And we get to meet the head of that company. This is where we meet. Dule Hill shows up. And I got very excited because I love Dule Hill. And here he's playing Omar Campbell, the head of this development company that is being accused of gentrifying the neighborhood that Jazz works in. And that, you know, we see that Will and Carlton are going to take a lot of interest in when it comes to saving these businesses. Are you very familiar with Dule?
I am familiar with him. I can't quite put my finger on which of his stuff I've seen, but I am familiar with him.
Well, I know most people probably know him from that gif of like, I Can Fix That, because he's the guy in Holes, the movie who is like, yeah, but he's also the second lead in the show Psych, alongside James Roday.
That's where I've seen him for sure.
Yeah,
like on the posters.
He's like the star of Psych, but he's in a lot of stuff. Dule's everywhere. He's been famous my entire life. This is a black A-lister for sure. So I was happy to see that he was here in this role, but he is seemingly a part of the problem. You know, Yolanda, this woman who is running for city council or trying to defend her seat, she is leading these protests about these developments because these businesses and stuff are moving into town and they're gentrifying it, forcing all of the older businesses, the black businesses, the smaller businesses to move out so they can change the way the scenery is looking. And this is impacting Jazz, but also going to be impacting Uncle Phil. I hate this. I hate that that whenever we get Uncle Phil, like we get the business side of him, he's always on the wrong side of who we're rooting for here. You know, he's always doing the opposition. And here, he's going to be representing Omar Campbell's company while they go up against the people of the community.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's the way I think Uncle Phil justified it, and here's how you may have to justify it. Think of it this way. That property is going to get made regardless.
That part.
Someone's going to get paid for being the legal counsel. You might as well be the one that gets paid. And maybe if you're on the inside, you can make him do things like the public forum that he was suggesting, that he was like, I didn't have plans to do a public forum. He's like, well, that's why you need me, because now you do. So maybe he's going to be able to fix it, but it is true. Every time Uncle Phil is professionally involved, he's on the side of the big corporation and not on the side of the people.
Right. And that could put him directly in odds with his family because, I mean, it's bad enough that he's already at odds with Aunt Viv. But how do you think Will and Carlton are going to feel? What about Jazz? How do you think Hilary is going to feel when Uncle Phil is, you know, part of the problem for Jazz, whose record company a lot of the family has taken a lot of interest to? Do you think Ashley is going to be okay with Uncle Phil in this role, Pooya?
Listen, all Ashley needs to do is look into his soul for 5 seconds, and he might just give this all up. So
that's her goal. I think we can't let Ashley find out for at least 2 episodes.
Well, Ashley's cooking up a diss track on her family right now. Okay, she's on her own like living right now.
Yeah, what's wrong with her? So I get it. She's a teenager. They're dark and broody. Her and her homegirl are sitting around. She's like, oh, tell me that you should sing a song. And I thought we were going to get a call back to maybe the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air series where Ashley was eventually a singer, Tatiana Ali, launching her music career by starting singing on that show. But no, instead we get Ashley reading poetry about how her family's a fraud and they're all like, painting a pretty picture while also, you know, hiding a dark underbelly. And I was like, well, actually, I don't want to hear this song. You know, if this is what the song is about, I think you should keep this. But she also wants to start a band, Pooya.
Yeah, she wants to start a band. Her friend is very supportive of this idea as well, very much pushing her to pursue this. Like, what else have you written? And she's like, she's like looking over Ashley's shoulder into her lyric book. I was like, all right, you are either going to steal this project or you're infatuated with Ashley. Which is it? Because you're doing too much. Sit down. Yeah, I also thought it was going to be singing. It turned out more closer to like a verse, like a rap verse. She had a little flow, but it wasn't too out there. It was still like reciting more than anything. So And then we did hear that she wasn't going to make family dinner because she was at a sleepover. So I don't know where Ashley's story goes from here, but she is getting some kind of a story this time around.
This is way better than we've seen in the past, you know.
Oh, for sure.
And I can foresee a world where we know Ashley likes a good protest. We've seen her do it before. And so I can see a world where Uncle Phil is confronted with Ashley, the protester, Jazz, the protester, Will, Carlton, you know, all of his family, you know, just opposed to this new development and this new business proposition from Uncle Phil. But I have faith because Uncle Phil has Jeffrey. And Jeffrey said, this is going to get messy, and I like mess. This was an interesting 2 episodes for Jeffrey.
It really was. And I am stoked because we are the #1 Jeffrey podcast out there. That part. And more Jeffrey storyline is better for us. And I'm liking the storyline. He's, you know, we've talked about Aunt Viv's story. He's involved in some capacity. Uncle Phil's, he's involved. The boys, he's involved. He has his hand in every cookie jar and he has his own story. This is the Jeffrey show. Everyone else is just an extra.
Yeah. But can we talk about the boys and Jeffrey? Because
which part?
About his boy, Frederick the scammer. We called it. I'm not taking my eyes off this kid. I know what's going on. I know him from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know what he's about. And these 2 episodes were so validating. You know, we got the cryptic conversation on the phone that Will overheard, and Will says, okay, let's bring him in. Let's try to get closer to him so we can keep an eye on him. Of course, Carlton's not into that. He's like, let's stay out of Jeffrey's business. But they bring Frederick in. They invite him to the DTLA Classic where it's like a car show where Jazz is going to be showing off his car because he's trying to sell it to make some money to keep his business afloat. And Frederick comes and immediately finds a way into some drama. Listen, I can be the Steph at the party. I can't stand a Frederick. Somebody who you know, you bring and immediately you know, like, how did you find the worst people here and become friends with them?
Like, you imagine leaving a function, being on top of the world, and then having someone else's issues bring you back down. That's Frederick. How can you be a spawn of Jeffrey and suck so hard? I don't like Frederick at all, man. And he's so annoying. He is getting into drama because he made bets for the street racing, but then he didn't pay or he stole their money. Which was it?
He shorted them. Yeah, I think they were giving out the money. You know, the winners were taking, and he's like, well, that's all the money I got. Is it, sir? We see the money is missing. But my question is, you got there and immediately found the secret street racing? Like, it's not like street racing is legal. So that means he found the people who were breaking the law.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Instantly. Yeah, there are people like that, man. It's like you travel with them, and then within 10 minutes they're like, all right, what do you guys want? It's like, what do you mean? I found a plug. It's like, how did you find? We've never been here. How do you know this stuff? Some people just, they sniff it out, man.
Yeah, he's got that nose for the mess and the drama because he's in it. You know, he's organizing, I guess, or involved in the betting of the street race. And we honestly don't even really see him when the racing is going down. But the racing itself, Jazz doesn't want to sell his car. So Carlton and Will have a plan. They say, what if we just get in on the betting with Frederick? And we propose a race between Jazz and this guy. I think his name was like Alonzo or something like that. He's a car collector.
Yeah.
And the classic car collector. And so, Alonzo Davis was his name. But they say, okay, what if we race him? Race him for the car or $35,000. And on one hand, I understand. I think it's a valid bet. I think that the guy was going to pay 30 for it anyway. Jazz, like, it's probably worth more than that. So I could get an extra 5,000 if we win. But at the same time, street racing is extremely dangerous. You know, like at best, they win. There's a middle ground where they lose and have to give up the car. He was going to have to give up the car anyway. He's just not going to get any money from it this time. But at worst, they crash and die. You know, like there's a world where this doesn't work out for them at all.
30 racks. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the value.
Your life is not worth $35,000. Not these people's lives. Some people, they are living and dying for that $35K. That is all they have to their name. I think for Jazz, it's a big risk. But Carlton and Will, honestly, if you I know they don't want to hand out. Jazz probably don't want to hand out, but they could probably get investors to help with Jazz's thing because Uncle Phil has so many connections. But instead, they decided to wager it on a race. Pooya, I have brought this up before, but these are children.
Yes, exactly. We're blurring the lines once again of we're about to enter our senior year of high school children who are not only involved with all this stuff, but then also for some reason, Will was like, yeah, and Carlton's going to drive because he knows everything about cars, but he's also never been in a sanctioned race. Little, not even sanctioned, any race. Last time he was in a race was when he was 12, which in this storyline is like a year ago, I guess, with Uncle Phil. So for some reason, Will is willing to back Carlton this much for this car that he so desperately wants Jazz to keep. That was wild. And then it took 5 seconds of Carlton stuttering twice for him to be like, you know what? Nope, I'm doing this. If you were a driver, you would have volunteered to do it from the jump. You are not a driver. I genuinely thought, what is the name of the girl who Carlton met at rehab?
Oh, Amira.
Amira. I thought Amira was going to be the one to drive. I was like, she's the one who drove in. It makes the most sense. This is how she gets in on the friend group and like has connections. I thought that made the most sense. Like it's her car. She's the one who knows more by the looks of it. But then it was these two. And also Carlton was like, I'm getting in the car and you're not going to get rid of me. I'm going to ride passenger because you need my help. You're not going to win this alone. Now, all of this said, Chappell, I don't know much about street racing. Okay. I don't know a lot about being an athlete. I don't know much about street racing. Once they went off course, are they allowed to take another track to get there?
You've seen more Fast and Furiouses than I have.
All of them.
So you tell me, is this a Toretto move?
I feel like typically they're always on the same track regardless. And even if they go off course, they drive back onto that track and continue. I feel like not often. I mean, maybe in that one, maybe there was one where he was driving like this beat up car and he took like an alternate route. I don't remember, but I felt like, oh, if everyone's cool with it, fine. But you basically just took a shortcut to get there now. And everyone said, okay, cool. I mean, they won the money. They didn't get shorted on their money. So good for them. But also it's kind of unbelievable that two rookies like this would get it done when this other guy's car seemingly was faster based on what Carlton was saying. He's the more experienced driver, and yet they whooped his ass on that handbrake turn to get back. Like this guy's he had this big lead and he biffed the turn. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, his turn wasn't great. And then Carlton and Will just killed the turn, and I guess Carlton knows. I mean, he was coaching Will while it was happening, but this is like in reality, this is very scary. You got two 17-year-olds behind the wheel flying up the freeway, doing handbrake turns and stuff like that, taking shortcuts down alleys. I don't want to sound like an old ass man, but somebody could have got hurt. I was like, okay,
for sure.
Yeah. And so there's no shock to me. The cops show up because that's what happens at street races. Everybody scatters, but they can't get away because they have to deal with Frederick's trash. Frederick has stolen these people's money. He's lying about it. They don't know that he's lying about it. They're about to fight. Again, Will ain't back down for no fight ever in his life. And I'm thinking, y'all are in the wrong and y'all are children. I just don't see a world where every fight you're going to win. I don't trust Will to beat up Carlton. So I definitely don't trust him to beat up random other goons that be at street races.
This is how you know that Jazz is supposed to be older than them, because Jazz is nowhere to be seen. He collected his money and drove home, went to bed. Whereas these kids are walking down the street. And also, am I supposed to assume then that based on the conflicts that they are, even the people they're having this beef with are also their age? Or are they clearly younger than them? I don't know. But the minute Will goes to interject and stop a fight, you know that all he's doing is he's tagging himself in. He's like, all right, this is my beef now. You leave. I'll deal with them. Thankfully, the cops break this up. And by that, I mean they show up. And somehow, continuity here bugged me a little bit. All these three did was turn into the nearest parking lot and go upstairs. And the cops just drove past.
Yeah, they were so terrified. They was confused. They ran. The cops... they're hot on their trail, but that one move was able to shake them. It shook them, but it did not shake Jeffrey. Also, Frederick, can't be a child. Frederick is grown as hell. You know, I don't know how old Frederick is. Like, I don't know if they've ever told us.
Let's say he's Jazz's age.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine because he has his own place. You know, we know he's seemingly not in school. So
It is the summer.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, that's true. I don't know. I guess yeah, he's living in that safe house. Jeffrey be popping in.
Well, they got him a job with Uncle Phil too, whereas he's not a pit pig as they called him at the country club. So
yeah, I feel like he's older, especially when the way he covers for this whole interaction. Because when Jeffrey gets out the car, he's like, y'all need to start telling me what happens now. And I don't know about you, I'd have been terrified to lie to Jeffrey because we know that he's a secret agent. We've seen him. He knows everything. He's always telling them. Even the fact that he showed up, like no one called.
How
Jeffrey.
Did you know? Yeah,
He knew enough to know where y'all were at. The cops couldn't even find y'all, but Jeffrey found y'all. And so immediately we see Frederick go, oh well, you know, we got caught up and stuff like that. But you know, these Bel-Air kids, I had to break it up. And he's like, okay, I'm watching you. But I was like, how does that work as an excuse?
Yo, forget lying to Jeffrey. If I'm Carlton and Will, I'm not taking the fall for your dumbass. Like, that is not happening. He basically pinned it on the two of them, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we did it. It was our bad."
Yeah, like, oh, you know, these crazy Bel-Air kids. Yeah, we don't do it like this across the pond. All right, all right, Fred. But this just starts a pattern of lying for Will and Frederick and Carlton, because Jeffrey is doing his research. He's going into full investigation mode. So is there anything you want to tell me? And Jeffrey doesn't do it like good cop, bad cop, like parents would do it, or like, you know, you can tell me anything. No. Jeffrey is looking them dead in the eye and saying, tell me what happened now. And Will's floundering. We see him ask Frederick. Frederick lies. But when he gets to Carlton eventually goes to Jeffrey himself because he just can't live like this no more. Carlton like, I've tried to stay sober. I'm stressed out. And I don't have a lot of people who trust me right now. It would be so much better if I told Jeffrey myself. Frederick does warn him, if you tell him, I'm gonna tell about all this street racing that y'all been doing. And for a minute, that works until Carlton just breaks down and goes and tells Jeffrey everything.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Carlton for realizing that this type of stress, harboring these secrets, is exactly what led him to drug use. And he's feeling those feelings come back, and he doesn't want to be in that place or that person anymore. So he completely gives all the information. And I feel like if anybody's going to understand that and be receptive to that kind of a plea, it's Jeffrey. Jeffrey's not going to rat him out to Uncle Phil at this point. There's no way.
No.
And I'm happy he did it because I don't think Will realizes what that secret holding was doing to Carlton. So I'm glad he gets to have his piece and release, and potentially Will has no idea until either Frederick catches Jeffrey and then takes it out on the boys or something like that. But for now, everything's good.
Yeah, well, Carlton was about to tell on Frederick, but Jeffrey said, no worries. I got that. Let me handle Frederick. And I'm thinking, okay, Jeffrey's already on to him. He has to be, because Frederick moving kind of sloppy. We saw Frederick was going through files for Jeffrey, like pretending like, oh yeah, I just needed to get something from the office for Uncle Phil. And I was like, no, I don't believe that either. And so by the end of the episode of episode 4, Jeffrey goes through Frederick's stuff and he finds a burner phone. And now I'm like, okay, Jeffrey, we're on to something. We're about to shut the scammer down. Do you think Frederick's able to keep this lie going for much longer, or is Jeffrey about to blow up his spot in episode 5?
Well, thankfully, all Jeffrey got is calls to the same number. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to go trace the number, figure out who it belongs to, and then he might confront him. I think he's going to fake the funk a little bit to see how much Frederick lies to him.
Yeah, Frederick sucks. Can I just say that? This kid's awful.
He's the worst.
Yeah. He showed up and just, I mean, like, it's already bad enough that Carlton and Will got a lot going on with their summer project here. But now their attention is split because they're worried about Jeffrey. And Jeffrey, who is supposed to be taking care of the Banks family, is now worried about Frederick. And so I'm very eager to see how long it takes for Jeffrey to crack the case and shut Frederick down. But Pooya, we do have to talk about Will and Carlton's project, because this is another stressor that might be leading Carlton to consider maybe drug use again. He's stressed out because it doesn't seem like they're on the same page.
Yeah, so when it comes to their brand Blaccess that they're trying to grow and get the word out, part of the car show for them was to do that and really promote the brand. Again, it feels so far like their entire brand is just merch. It's a t-shirt and a tank top. They've got nothing else going on. But I think part of the reason Carlton is stressing is because Will keeps saying, I'll handle this part. I got this. But then also Will clearly isn't studied enough in the verbiage needed or the behind the scenes stuff. He wants he's got the personality for being in front of the camera. But behind the scenes, he doesn't know what tech goes where. What's an ROI? He figured out what an ROI is later on, but he was the CPA. He had no idea what that was. And I feel like it's hard for Carlton because he feels like he's getting sideswiped or sidetracked by Will anytime he tries to chime in, because Will also wants control in a weird way. They've not quite figured out that, hey, we're both very good at this and we should both focus on these two segments, because they still want to do it together. But I think they've not realized exactly how to go about it. And with Will being a lot more heavy-handed and Carlton being a lot more willing to just walk with him, it's starting to hit a boiling point because of that, combined with the secrets, where we just had an entire episode where these two were just like on each other's necks the whole time.
Carlton is a lot more invested in the success of this because of his reputation.
Yes.
He knows that as somebody who was an addict or someone who has had drug problems in the past, that people are not going to be falling over themselves to give him opportunities, to trust him. And so he's looking at this as part of the way to build his reputation back up. And Will is messing it up. Will is not, like you said, is not really aware of like a lot of the business portion of this. He's a hustler, but he don't know how to talk about it. He doesn't know how to pitch. Whereas Carlton, this is what Carlton's been doing his whole life. You got to believe Uncle Phil's had him in every little enrichment program and business type of setting where he's been able to learn at the foot of his dad, who is a very successful lawyer, district attorney, politician, all this stuff. Will don't have none of that. And so Will's just like really moving on ego and charisma, and that's about it. And Carlton's like, I really need all this to work out because I can't go back to rehab, and I definitely can't let anybody else down, because he really wants to get his door back. It'd be nice to have that door back.
I don't blame him. It would be. We've seen a couple of scenes where he's having a private conversation with Will, and Uncle Phil's like, oh, what was that about Frederick? And I was like, all right, well, this needs to stop now. We even see him at one point mimic closing his door. He just doesn't have anything to himself yet, really. And even this one thing that he has that he can work on and sink his teeth into, he has to share with Will, who, again, is a little bit more heavy-handed with control than he should be. But I feel like I resonate with Carlton here because, like you said, he has one thing. This is his one thing. This is a way for him to prove to the people who are currently doubting him or not trusting him that, hey, I'm back and I've got my wits about me and I deserve a second chance, and I deserve to be taken a chance on, which I've been offered by this one person who I don't want to disappoint.
Yeah, and Will also is easily distracted. For one, the street race plan could have derailed everything for Carlton for sure. But then also, he's got Lisa, and Lisa and Amira show up on a double date to the beach. They want to take an entire day to just go kick it when Carlton is clearly kind of nervous about their deadline for this investor thing that they're doing for what is it called? Blaccess. Yeah, Blaccess. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. When Will's relationship issues with Lisa are starting to creep into that as well. Because that's the thing. Like you said, they were at each other's throats in that entire episode, but the way they work together is the reason they even got the position on Quentin's team anyway in his organization, because he said the way y'all ride for each other, the way y'all compliment each other, that is what I'm looking for. And so he gave them both one spot. He gave them basically a shared project together because they work good together. By this episode, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to maintain that. They do make up, but it took a lot to get there.
It really did. It took a lot of support from other places for them to finally get there and understand what the other needs in this situation. And I think that obviously you need the friction between a Will and Carlton on any iteration of this show, because it was such a main point of Fresh Prince that I was like, at what point are y'all going to fight a little bit? And this was the perfect amount. They're fighting over, yay, you're not hustling enough in volleyball, or you're hustling too much or whatever. That's fine. and then they end up being okay. And I think in part because of their pairings, Will with Jackie kind of opening his eyes to, listen, you need to kind of know what these words mean ultimately. You need to be there and be on top of it. Her study method may have gotten him one word wiser. Let's give it that.
Well, it's crazy that you gave that credit to Jackie when that was Lisa, and that's what we need to talk about.
I meant Lisa.
Now.
See, this is Will. Yeah.
But we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it.
I was just putting the segue in. Listen,
a good segue, because the last time we talked, Lisa and Will did not have a title. They were unofficial or whatever she said it was. No labels, I think is what she said. But Jackie is back, and Jackie, like Amira, is also, it looks like she's like not trying to force her way into the friend group, but she definitely is not afraid to hang out with Will, and she don't really care who sees, and that includes Lisa. And for a while, it looked like Lisa's just gonna be a hater in the background, right? She can't really complain too much because she's the one who said we don't have any labels. Why? Well, do what you want to do. You do you, I do me. We like each other, but we don't have to put a title on it. We don't have to put a ring on it until Jackie comes around, and now all of a sudden she's like, well, let's make it official.
Well, it's funny because in a weird way, both of them were not wanting to push any, but then Jackie's presence there makes it so that they have to stand on something, because honestly, Jackie did nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
She was being a supportive friend. She got them a bunch of pre-order sales for their merch. Like, she's just being a good friend to them. And I think she also feels like I owe Aunt Viv, and therefore this is Aunt Viv's family. I want to do right by everyone. I felt like she was just being a cool person. I didn't think it was too much. I even think the hey, so I gotta connect at this kitchen, they'll keep it open, we can have burgers. I didn't think that was bad either. But for Lisa, it's hard because everyone else is chiming in a little bit about this. I think everyone else poking at it doesn't help.
Yeah, Amira says, how you gonna let that girl just disrespect you in front of your boyfriend? She's like, well, that's not my boyfriend. Say, oh, damn, is that, well, why are you looking so salty if that's not your man? I'm like, Lisa, come on, man. You got to do something. But when Jackie showed up at the end of the street race, it's like, hey, guys, let's go do something else. Lisa was like, damn, bitch. I said, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that at all. So, yeah, she goes off, and this causes Will to pick a side. She's like, basically, I'm not going to be in some love triangle with you and Jackie. I know I said no labels, but it's because I don't know what you want. And if you want me, you got to choose me. And he does. He goes and tells Lisa, I'm not worried about Jackie. I'm worried about you only. And so now they're an official couple. And it might, like you said, it might be what he needs, because she's even willing to help him study and really stay on the straight and narrow when it comes to this whole business plan that him and Carlton have. Now, my question for you is that in these 2 episodes, Jackie did nothing wrong.
Jackie.
Here's where I'm getting.
Okay, tell me.
I don't necessarily think she did anything wrong.
Okay.
But I do find it a little funny that she ends up working at this same place as Will, knowing that, okay, Will works at the country club, Carlton works at the country club. You don't think she just asked Aunt Viv about a job at the country club because she wanted to be closer to Will?
No.
Because Lisa does bring up, like, she just conveniently shows up here, huh? Oh, okay, cool. Like, we see Aunt Viv talking to Jackie, and Jackie's like, you should adopt me. I could be your new daughter-in-law. And Lisa,
that was a little bit, that was shady. That was, listen, yeah. I'm not saying that she's got ulterior motives necessarily, but at the same time, I think when you recognize someone's giving you some weird energy, you're going to give that weird energy right back. Yeah, exactly. So I think both of them know exactly what they're doing. And even like, it's kind of like towing the line, right? She's like, I invited all 6 of you back to the burger spot for food. I didn't just say, well, that would be weird. I agree. So why are you making it weird? I wasn't being weird. So there's definitely a part of that for sure. But if you're just looking at the facts, she just helped them get pre-orders in and is just trying to have a meal with the crew after the fact,
Yeah, Carlton highlights that this could be messy. He tells Will, like, what are you doing? What do you got going on? You got your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boo thing, and now your current, like, situationship hanging out at the same time. And Will is moving so reckless. He's hugging them both interchangeably. Like he walks this way with Jackie for 2 seconds, kisses Lisa real quick. He's moving a little dirty in the middle. And so Lisa finally puts her foot down and says, nah, you got to choose me. And it does end with them doing pretty well. But you're right. Jackie was able to help them a lot. And so I'm not going to write off Jackie quite yet as a potential love interest. Do you think Will is going to fold and potentially end up maybe kissing Jackie again before the end of the season?
I hope not.
Everybody else in his family is folding. Everybody else in his family has folded.
Okay.
Well, except Aunt Viv. My girl's still holding tight, but it's coming. It's coming.
You don't even trust that. Yeah, you don't even believe that.
I don't trust Sharif. I trust Aunt Viv. I don't trust Sharif.
So you think, okay, you're going to give the blame to Sharif there. Hey, listen, Jeffrey hasn't folded on anybody.
Yeah, we got to bring back, what was that lady's name that Jeffrey used to be with? The one
he was on the boat with, or the yacht?
Yeah. Bring it back. Jeffrey got a little stressed. He needs to release some stress.
Hey, speaking of releasing stress, have you ever felt stress while driving, Chappell?
Ooh, I felt a lot of stress watching this scene happen. Eventually, Lisa and Will, they do study and get intimate in this episode on the beach, playing strip.
It was the fastest game of strip business terms I've ever seen. They got through one word apiece.
And it was a wrap. And then Carlton and Amira, I'm not loving Amira. I'm not a big fan of Amira.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought that her getting into Jackie and Lisa stuff was kind of aggressive. She kind of was right. And I was like, do you know Lisa really well? Like, how often do y'all spend? It feels like she's one of the people that made herself really comfortable very quickly. And I'm kind of like, why is she around? She cool, but is she? Yeah, I don't know. To me, I'm just looking at her like, you getting a little too comfortable. Now, I completely support what happens at the end of episode 4. Live your life, but just don't die trying.
Yeah, see, I didn't really have an issue with the Jackie Lisa stuff with Amira, because the way I saw it, Amira clearly sees Lisa as the person within the circle, and can also notice the stuff Jackie's doing, and it's just like, what's that all about? Like, tell me more. Tell me the lore here. What have I missed so far? So that I don't think is egregious. I will say these 2 episodes were supposed to make us realize that Amira has a bit of an edge to her that you did not see before. Because up until that point, she was the nice girl he met at rehab, and then the parents were misguided in their thoughts. And then the parents were like, you know what? Amira, welcome in. And now we're supposed to be proven, this is why Amira was bad news. Because they're in the car and Carlton's like, listen, these fights, these feelings, this is exactly what I would use. Can we go find an NA meeting somewhere? And she's like, I've got NA right here. Keep driving. Speed up. Speed up.
We got NA at home.
Yeah. She's like, I've got something better than drugs for you. Speed up. And then once he hit the speed, like, what is she, like the doc from Back to the Future? You have now hit the speed we need. And she proceeds to give him roadhead, but on the roadhead. This is not off the road. It's on the road, on a highway, driving fast. My anxiety was through the roof, Chappell. I was like, please just get home safely.
So I was nervous for Carlton and Amira because she wasn't allowing him to look at the road. She was doing like speed up, speed up, speed up, but she wouldn't let him look at the road. And then they were
kissing. I was like, this is terrifying.
So when she started, handling her business, I was very happy. I was like, oh, okay. Because now my boy can at least watch the road. And that's what I was more concerned with. Like, please don't get in a car accident today. We've been through so much. We survived the street race. This is not the time to go flying off a cliff or something like that. Because we've seen so much in 2 episodes. Like LaMarcus is in the hospital. They survived the street race. Frederick's doing weird stuff. Uncle Phil's folded. There's trouble at home. Ashley's writing diss tracks about it, and now you about to go get in a car accident? Nah. So I'm happy that Amira handled her business, and it looks like Carlton is on the up and up. It looks like everything is good right now, but I think that is definitely a red flag that there was a moment where he could have went to a meeting and was convinced not to.
I'm worried because everything with Carlton, like we've seen a little bit of cracks, right? Frustration with the door, frustration with Will. I feel like they're showing us the stuff with Jeffrey. I feel like they're showing us moments where he could have folded, but he didn't, and he's building it up. And it's like, I feel like the show's trying to lead us to, all right, it's in the rear view, it's done, only for like something absolutely horrendous to happen that'll just bring him crashing down. And I am not ready, because like I said, so far the show has found a perfect balance between drama, dark, funny, like romance. I'm worried, especially because we saw goddamn Lou in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I feel like there's quite and now with Sharif being involved, I feel, and Frederick, it just feels like we're getting led to a dark place. Like this season could end very like sad or dramatic, and I'm not mentally prepared for that. But I can't help but think in the back of my head that that's the direction we're going here.
Yeah, there's a lot of balls in the air right now, you know.
Yeah.
And the show will touch on them and then move away from them very quickly. You brought up Sharif, you brought up this Carlton relationship with Amira and that addiction thing. We see that the Uncle Phil helping with this, you know, this new developer could be drama for the entire family. You know, especially with him moving away from Erica. And then you also have smaller seeds that have been planted. Lisa said, I plan on making nationals and winning nationals this year, so I don't need to be distracted by anything. And then she goes and gets in a relationship with Will the very same episode. So
she might break up with him.
She might break up with him. And I don't know how that's going to go, you know. So
luckily, we know how that's going to go.
Yeah, do we? You know, I guess
she breaks up with him. He goes right to Jackie. That's what we're being set up with here potentially.
Or is she gonna break up with him because he goes to Jackie? See, that's what I'm talking about. So did she break up with him for the swimming, or does the Jackie situation push Will into making a mistake that leads her to breaking up with him?
We see like an episode where she's clearly stressed about the swimming stuff and everything and making nationals, and Will's like, you know what? Let's pause because I want you to be able to focus. I support you. And that's like, oh, so nice. And then like that same night, he's macking it with Jackie, and Lisa sees that.
Then so Drew comes back in a few episodes and he's in a, no, I'm joking. We don't need to see Drew anymore.
Drew, do you want to get beat up in the bowling alley again? Just say the word.
Well, Carlton gonna handle you, baby. That's all I got to say. Okay. Carlton's ripped. Okay. He go fast. Yeah. So that's about it. I mean, the last thing we really haven't talked about is that they did get their t-shirt order in. They ordered 100 shirts and ended up with 1,000 shirts. Because the bootlegger, he sent them all the shirts that they needed and then some. And so now they have to move 1,000 shirts as opposed to the 100 that they were going to do for their business. I'm not quite sure, again, what this business is aside from selling t-shirts, but they got the shirts now, so they can make a lot of money. And I guess that pays off considering they aren't willing to ask Uncle Phil for any.
I mean, this is plot device a little bit because they could have obviously I, you know, as a content creator, I have my own merch store.
You do.
I don't have boxes of t-shirts. The t-shirts are made when the order is done. So unless you're going to sell them in person, 1,000 t-shirts are like 100 you could sell in person, right? They could have sold 100 if they had them on hand at the car show, but 1,000 and they said payments due in 7 days. Now, do we think they're going to sell 1,000 t-shirts? My answer is no. Is this where Uncle Phil bails them out? My answer is yes. That's kind of the direction I feel. They brought up the handout thing so many times that Uncle Phil's about to pay somebody some money. Whether it's Jazz or it's them, I don't know. But that checkbook is coming out this next episode, I have to imagine.
Will just doesn't want to take a handout so bad that I could just imagine how contentious things are going to be if they have to get to that point. But I don't know. I would like to see some more creative ways of moving these shirts. Maybe they come up with some more strategies. I just know they're running out of time. Like you said, they have 7 days to come up with the money, but they also still have to get this whole business plan off the ground to where Quentin accepts it.
What if Sharif is somehow involved and they do like a food thing, like a food truck thing, but then there's also selling shirts. That could be a thing. And then Sharif is now close with the family and he gets invited to family dinner.
I feel like Hilary is an influencer. I think you got influencers at home. You do not need sexy, flexy ass chefs with beards and accents.
Why do you hate Sharif? What has he done to you?
He's trying to ruin my happy home. Okay. I like Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil together. I don't need this man all in their life. Okay. I know trouble when I see it. Count your days, Sharif. We're getting you out of here. We're gonna pack him up.
I feel like you did not have this much energy for Homeboy last season.
You are incorrect. I was screaming from the rooftops that Michael Ealy was the devil, I believe was the exact quote. And it led to nothing. It led to nothing.
But Sharif seems nice. I don't think he's in it for that.
What do you think he's in it for? You know exactly what he's in it for.
No, he sees a rich family that can find
a home to wreck.
Get him out. No, they can get him out of the food truck to a restaurant. That's what his game is.
Oh, this is a business move.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Shut it down. Protest that. You know, if you're gonna protest anybody,
did you peep in one of the like he was like standing sexily? Was it like with a stalk of broccoli or something?
Right.
Like,
I said, what is this? You sexy broccoli posing on Instagram?
I will say I've been seeing this trend. There's a lot of like beautiful people getting into the cooking TikTok game, and some of that game is how seductively can I chop this carrot.
Hilary did it first. She literally did this 2 seasons ago. And people weren't giving her the credit that she deserved. Now look, it's a trend. She also let that go. And we've been led to believe that Hilary's food tastes good. I feel like all these sexy cooks, I don't trust their food. I feel like they leaning more into the sexy part than the actual food. That broccoli don't taste good.
The end product always looks good, but I'm telling you, man, it's gotten. I saw a dude, he was making some kind of bread, but the spanking he was putting on this dough, like you're hearing full like pa right as the impact. It was seductive. It was like squeezing the dough. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Send me the link. All right, and that wraps up. That wraps up episodes 3 and 4. Pooya, anything I missed?
Nope. Another moment, another weekly PSA that the soundtrack on this show is incredible. I definitely peeped a little bit of Childish in the background at one point. I was like, I know that voice anywhere. No, the music's been great. I feel like all the cameos have been good so far. Excited to see who Destiny, the artist, is going to be. We'll find that out soon enough. Who does the number that Jeffrey found belong to? That's what I'm curious about. And what happens with Amira and Carlton potentially? Where's their relationship going next? Because at this point, they don't have a label on what they're doing, but is that going to come up sooner? Are they going to put a label on it?
That's a good question. Season 3.
Will Carlton get his door back?
They should not give Carlton his door back. They should not.
I feel so bad for him when he's like, all right, should we just get this over with? And Uncle Phil's like, yeah, here's your urine cup. Go give me the sample. Like, man, this is a lot. Like, I'm ready for him to be given his stuff back, hopefully.
He deserves this. Like it's hard to not feel bad for him, but if you remember in the first episode, he almost killed Will. So, you know, we'll just throw that out there.
Remember when he nearly drowned him in the pool?
He drowned his cousin on the first episode of the show. Yeah, remember that? Like, I wonder if the Coke had anything to do with that, you know? So a lot to wonder when it comes to Carlton.
He's come such a long way from that locker room in Bel-Air when they were listening to Bobby Shmurda. It's been a journey.
But has he come such a long way? Like, we haven't actually seen any results. Well, let's see what happens. We're 4 episodes in. Episode 5 is called Getting Personal. And so I'm imagining we're going to find out a lot of the answers to your questions, or at least start to move in that direction next week when we talk about that. But Pooya, what else do you have going for you in the meantime?
Yes, sir. Let's see. So I've got 90 Day Fiance. The tell-all portion, we said it's a 5-parter. So for some reason, the tell-all is the reunion. That part is over by the end of episode 4. We still have one more episode. I don't know what they're going to do with this last one, but me and Kirsten are going to be talking about episode 4 this week, so you can check that out. Myself and Mike Bloom kickstarted talking about The Anonymous. We've talked about the first 3 episodes already up on the RHAP, so you can check that out. And I'll be live on the Friday morning, a live feed update talking about everything going on the feeds for Big Brother 26. I feel like I'm missing something, but it's fine. If we miss it, nothing but Netflix with yours truly, Chappell. He invited me over to talk about the movie The Union. We did that this past week. That was fun. So yeah. And you can find me on Twitter. Thanks for the plugs, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Look at this professional.
Twitch.tv/Pooya. You can follow him on Twitter at Pooyaism. You can catch him on the 90 Day Fiance wrap-ups, and you can catch him talking about Big Brother 26 when he's not talking to me about Netflix shows on the Nothing But Netflix podcast. Pooya, Thank you so much for joining me again.
Always an honor, man. Always an honor.
Yes, and you can catch me on the Nothing But Netflix podcast, of course, every week talking about Netflix shows with Rob Sestonino. You can also catch me on RHAP talking about Big Brother 26 in some capacity. I was recently on the Free Agents podcast to talk about the first 2 episodes of the challenge. Season 40. I came in for episode 2. It was a big episode, big elimination. So if you watch the challenge, formerly the Real World Road Rules Challenge on MTV, but if you watch the challenge, check that out. Subscribe to the Free Agents podcast to keep up with that. And then, of course, more content here on Recap Kickback. This week, we had Mr. Throwback coverage for me and Tyrone talking about Steph Curry on his series on Peacock. And then we also had Mari and Latanya come on to talk about part 1 and 2 of the docuseries Hollywood Black. It was a good time, so good of a time. We're going to come back in 2 weeks to talk about parts 3 and 4. But you can keep up with all of that and more by following and subscribing to Recap Kickback. Go to recapkickback.com/subscribe to subscribe to the podcast. Come to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@recapkickback to subscribe to the YouTube and to like and leave a comment for us here. Or, of course, follow Recap Kickback on all social media platforms as well. But until next time, for Pooya and for myself, we'll be back to talk about more Bel-Air later on. But you ain't got to go home, but you can catch us here in about a week for the next episode. Peace.